Newcastle's CBD, a ghost town, avoiding the chaos that is Hunter Street. Nathan Pepper took a risk when opening a cafe in December, smack bang in the heart of the construction zone.
As time's gone on, I think the effects of the railway and that has slowly stopped the patrons a little bit.
He believes that once the rail is on track, the benefits will outweigh the initial setbacks.
Had a few people comment, not so much on the noise, more the parking. So had many people come in and say, oh, we come here the other day, but ended up at Newcastle Beach and couldn't get a park, so didn't come.
According to the state government, 9 businesses around Hunter Street have opened up since work began in September. NBN News has spoken to several today who have said that foot traffic is simply non-existent. They're currently relying on word of mouth. Access is another barrier, with the former David Jones car park now closed. Drivers' best bet, the hotly contested 2-hour off-street parking on King Street and the surrounds.
We're going to continue to try and bring people into the city and support those businesses that are doing it a little bit tough during the construction.
The state government says more activations are in the works to drive people in, reminding everyone that Hunter Street is still open for business.
A little bit more disruption, but by the end of this year we will certainly be looking at a new CBD.
Samantha Long, NBN News. One day, one mountain and one big goal to reach the highest peak in Australia. The Cerebral Palsy Alliance recently taking 20 of its clients on a 19-kilometre trek, all reaching the summit with their support crew by their side.
It's all about empowerment and giving people opportunities. It made it so much easier climbing the highest summit in Australia when you had friends by your side.
Isabella Peterson, the youngest climber, the only one to complete the challenge without any aid.
It was very tiring. It felt good when we finished it.
The 11-year-old flipping over the finish line in style.
It was very emotional, but then when I got up the top, it was very exciting and great.
Musselbrook's Abby Bellas and Wallsend's Jake Ballard also part of the climbing party.
He was very excited the day Anne showed him that he could put an application in, so he was very keen to do that.
I loved making it to the top and going through the finish line. I also enjoyed cheering on the other teams and seeing Isabella do her cartwheel at the finish line.
The group raised more than $270,000 in total. Samantha Long, NBN News.
From the long to the short, the wavy and the straight, if you're looking for the country's top mullet, look no further. More than 150 mulleted men and women honouring the iconic look at Curry's inaugural Mullet Fest.
I've never seen so many mullets in all my entire life.
And just like the hairstyle itself, it was business up front and party at the back.
I have it all different sorts of styles, mate. When it rains, it goes all curly and, yeah.
It's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, it is, mate, yeah. I sort of have it up half the time, especially when you're on a bike.
Whether it was in the everyday mullet or the grubby, there was a category to suit every style. And while they may not admit it, there's plenty of care and attention going into these luscious locks.
Conditioner, baby oil and strain it.
Grubby's fun, but there are some coiffed, groomed mullets and they are awesome.
In fact, for many, this is more than just a hairstyle.
Basically, it's me and my mullet. Yeah, I love it. My wife hates it, but apart from that, all good.
Why do you hate it?
It's just not manly, I don't think. I like a man with short hair.
Talk about humble beginnings. The idea for Mullet Fest only began around 6 months ago with just 20 entrants. Today, though, 153 people are taking part and embracing the iconic hairstyle.
It's fantastic. This is exactly what we wanted. What we wanted was a whole heap of people to see the town of Curry in its, shining glory, and a great venue and a great crowd and lots of laughs.
A town as iconic as the mullet itself. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
She draws a crowd wherever she goes. Sally Fitzgibbons is a favourite of the Newcastle faithful, but unfortunately for them, today's heat was the last they'll see of her at this year's Surfest.
It was a tough one to be out in that round. I was really looking forward to a couple more heats this weekend and put my all into it, but the level of talent in that heat just, it got me in the post and just got to move on to snapper now.
Sally started strong, but it was this way from Portugal's Teresa Bonvalot, a 9-point ride that ultimately sent her packing. It wasn't for a lack of trying, but she just couldn't find the score she needed to survive.
This event is all about just getting that rashy on. So yeah, it's good to be in and amongst this energy again, and there's a lot of hunger on the qualifying series this year, and it really makes you, wake up early in the morning and train hard, and you don't want to lose your spot on the top tiers.
The men's round of 24 was sent in next. Stradbroke Island's Ethan Ewing advanced, as did Lennox Head's Stu Kennedy. Back on the qualifying series full time, he was faultless in his heat.
Done a lot of work over the last 3.5, 4 weeks. Doing everything a lot different this year to what I have done previously. So yeah, I've got a young family and definitely want to keep getting back onto the World Tour.
The clash of the day, though, was between 4C Kunoa Igarashi and the rampant Mikey Wright. Whether it was on his rail or in the air, Igarashi impressed, but unbelievably, it wasn't enough to beat Wright. The brother of Tyler and Owen into the quarterfinals in emphatic style, a huge boost to his hopes of qualifying for the championship tour alongside his siblings. Philippa Anderson knows Merewether Beach as well as anyone. Today, that proved to be a big benefit.
Sometimes it is luck out there. Try to just stick to my plan and sit in the right spot, because I surf out here when it's like this all the time, and yeah, luckily it paid off. I'm really happy.
Up against Sally Fitzgibbons and Teresa Bonvalot, it was no easy task. The defining moment came when Anderson actually fell off the back of a wave, because moments later, she paddled into a highest scoring ride of the heat.
I was halfway out and I turned around on that one, and I was watching her warning that those ones are growing, and I was like, yeah, just go, and it worked out.
She took plenty of confidence from the result into round 5.
This next round is the round that I always seem to get knocked in, so I can always get to round 5 and never seem to progress.
That heat hit the water late this afternoon, and thankfully for the last remaining local hope, a round 5 premonition was wrong. Up against former world junior champion Macy Callahan, Anderson flew out of the gates and into a commanding lead. Callahan left in a combination situation, and while she did escape that, there was no catching Anderson. She's on to tomorrow.
especially to do it together because we train together, sort of do everything together. So to do it together is pretty good, pretty special.
These are the leading locals uniting to fight for a solution.
What we get quite often is bureaucrats in other parts of the state telling us what's good for the community here in Stockton.
Newcastle City Council formed the Community Liaison Group ahead of its first major public meeting next week. A move designed to ensure Stockton residents aren't kept in the dark and have their ideas heard for the Coastal Zone Management Plan.
The main concern is the risk of Stockton becoming an island rather than a peninsula. The erosion problem isn't going away, and what we need to do is come up with a long-term sustainable strategy.
A number of solutions have already been put forward: an artificial headland at North Stockton or extending the man-made rock wall. The answer, whatever it may be, is tipped to cost upwards of $30 million. Getting the state government and the Office of Environment and Heritage on board is crucial.
To ensure that we can actually have a really solid case to go to the state to get that funding, we need to make sure we're all on the same page, the Stockton community and council, and have a shared approach to getting a solution here.
Short-term remediation ideas will also be tabled, but in the long term, locals are determined to stay put.
My family's lived here for 6 generations, and I often hear people say, why don't you just move? You can't say that to people who've lived in the same place for such a significant amount of time, who feel such a close attachment to the community that we live in.
The community forum will be held at the Stockton RSL on March 7. Georgia Ma, NBN News.
Whether it's carving up Bar Beach Bowl, witnessing world-class surfing, or even pushing your own limits, Newcastle was bursting at the seams with large crowds taking in sporting spectacles.
Tourism through events such as Surffest, the Spark Helmore Triathlon and the Australian Bowl Riding Championships at Bar Beach is just booming here in Newcastle at the moment. It's a great time to be a Novocastrian, great time to be a business because there's lots of visitor economy dollars being spent.
Watching Newcastle's signature surf event is thirsty work. Blue Door's prime location saw it reaping the rewards.
It's been flat out. The event goes for about 2 weeks, and from the time that it's been set up till now, which has been very, very constant, I've been very happy. It's been fantastic. The amount of people that come from out of town has been really good for Newcastle itself. Just recently being rated #1 beach in Australia has been great for us, and the crowds have come and it's been a success.
Cafes not the only ones receiving a welcome boost.
We've bought more stock today at our Merriweather Nippers barbecue, and we've pretty much sold out today. So yeah, it's been a great boost.
There's long lines everywhere for coffees, for breakfasts, so you've just got to guess that the businesses along this stretch and through Newcastle with Spark Helmore have been very, very busy.
The sporting bonanza drawing competitors and tourists far and wide, testing Newcastle's accommodation limits.
Accommodation in Newcastle is usually fairly tight, but the pleasing thing is that it's been moving out towards the suburbs. The airport's been very busy, and other properties out in the suburbs that might be a little bit less expensive for competitors.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
There is not a lot of politics in it because I've only been in politics for about 3.5 years, so it goes into some of my misadventures as a young teenage girl, putting my mother through hell and high water, having those struggles during my life.
It was all smiles with the fans at full time, but the Knights were hurting.
Probably a timely kind of reality check before round one.
The outing began well enough, Newcastle scoring first through a determined Sean Kenny-Dow. But from there, it was one-way traffic, blown away after an opening half marred by errors.
It's not a disaster. We've lost the trial match. Am I disappointed the way we played? Did I expect us to do a little better? I did expect us to do better, and I'd be very surprised if the players didn't expect themselves to do better. Are we overhyped? Possibly are, but do people deserve to have a bit of excitement and a bit of expectation? Sure they do, because we've gone through a tough time. They've all been there supporting us.
Those fans swamped Mitchell Pearce after his first public performance. He was the last player on the field signing autographs, but led the acknowledgement that the team wasn't up to scratch.
We want to have a big year, and a trial game leaking that many points is not a good thing. So we're under no illusions where we're at. There's plenty of things we've been doing well that we didn't show tonight.
Pearce and Jared Hayne dominated attention. His return for the blue and gold was a promising one.
I love that laid-back lifestyle, so it's a bit hectic being down here, but it is what it is. It's great to be home.
He also spent some time at fullback, but it was Tingers Bevan French who stole the show in the #1 jumper.
Even though it's a trial match, it's good to get into that form, give me a bit of confidence heading into the season. And if you have one bad week, there's going to be someone there that feel you're spotting straight away. So it's always good to keep you on your toes.
Part of a new look spy, Newcastle's star fullback Kalen Ponga saw a tough initiation.
We've been working on it over pre-season, but I don't think we're anywhere near our best. Obviously, it's going to take us, we'll still be learning for the next however years we're together.
But a clear positive, both sides surviving unscathed. Sione Mataudia's ongoing knee injury was on ice at full time, but he says it's not a concern. His sister has always been an inspiration, but today it was Mikey Wright who finished on top.
I just kind of putting my free surfing into a heat, and I want to get on the tour, and I want to be there and hang out with my brother and sister, and I really want to get there.
Rain, wind, and not much surf, but Wright made it look easy, racing out of the blocks in the final, effectively winning it within minutes.
I just make every wave count, and just always try and look for him instead of just sitting there and waiting, and that kind of worked for us. I was catching most of my waves without priority.
Surfing in his first event down under, 18-year-old Hawaiian Barron Mamiya rolled the dice to catch up, but there was no catching Mikey. Cheered up the beach by his sister, the reigning world champion has been by his side all week.
She didn't really tell me too much. It's just more there as a support, and being there as a sister, and it was good fun.
Her final finished moments earlier, beaten by Hawaiian Coco Ho.
I'm so stoked. It's my third time back in Merriweather and second win, so I like that ratio.
Their final was close, but not to each other. Tyler Wright surfing well down the beach on her own before they came together for a tense final few minutes, although that tension didn't translate into the water.
We had a little laugh after she got that one. I knew it wasn't the 5.7, and I got out before with priority in 2 minutes. I was like, you're in trouble now.
Ho was the standout all-event, eliminating local hope Philippa Anderson in the semi-final.
The overall picture, really happy. The last few years I haven't done well here, I don't know why, so just really, really stoked.
Samuel Jordan, NBN News.
The travelling fans came to celebrate 10 years since the Jets' only grand final win, but former skipper Jade North was out to spoil the party. Newcastle had the best early chances. Young's counterpart was just as solid. Nil all at the break, Newcastle pushed forward. Substitute Enrique made an impact, but Nigel Bogard saved the day. Petratos went close. Before a former Raw junior finally broke the deadlock. Brisbane had a handful of late chances and a shout for a penalty waved away, much to the disappointment of John Aloisi.
Not VAR's fault. In my opinion, they were a little bit probably worried about what Ernie said last week because he gave it to the officials, which he had every right to.
The Jets are now assured of a place in the finals.
So we're on a bit of a roll, but I refuse to talk about titles or grand finals. So really what we've got to focus on now is being in the top four and maintaining those type of results.
I came out of the water, forgot my bike shoes, had to run home, don't tell the officials that, and then I lost a bunch of time, so I was playing catch up and actually finished 4th last year, so I was happy to come back and take it this year.
The coach that I've got with Tri-Coach Newcastle, she said, oh, you might go all right, so yeah. But when I came out of transition, they called me second in my age group, so I busted myself on the run, only to find that I was in front. So it was probably a good thing.
A cafe at street level, classrooms inside the former Supreme Court building, and this historic courtroom transformed into a large library or auditorium. That's the plan for the old Newcastle Courthouse complex, with the building closest to the police station to be knocked down or refurbished as on-campus accommodation.
The plan at this stage is to have one of the side buildings will be constructed as a student dormitory, accommodating around 100 students, possibly with a restaurant.
The landmark CBD site was sold more than a year ago.
At $6,600,000, all done, all silent, sold and very well bought. Congratulations.
The buyer, Nihon University, is still working through various designs. The oldest of the three buildings is heritage listed. Those considerations are delaying the planning process as well as the 4-storey height limit.
They're on target to appoint a construction company by the middle of this year, looking for construction to be completed by May 2021.
I've just been trying to find out myself what's going on. Disappointed it's going to take that long.
But local business people believe it'll be worth the wait.
There might be a couple hundred students staying there, other students coming, parents will visit from Japan, I presume, as well. And I think it's good for the town, good for this end of town as well.
Meanwhile, the Newcastle Post Office site owned by the Awabakal Land Council could be sold in the next 2 to 3 weeks. 11 proposals have been submitted, with at least 4 still in contention, including one from hotel magnate Jerry Schwartz. Jane Goldsmith, NBN News.
A close-knit community wanting answers about a beloved asset.
What we want to see is this tender scrapped.
Labor came out swinging today at the idea of Tomaree Community Hospital's GP services being privatised, claiming the state government has backflipped on a recent trend to scrap such arrangements.
Now we find that after those hospitals receive a reprieve, Tomaree Hospital is the next hospital on the block.
But the Health Minister and Hunter New England Health hit back, saying the hospital is not being sold off. Rather, it's renewing its long-standing contract for GPs as it does on a regular basis. Area Health CE Michael Di Rienzo says the current arrangement to provide medical services has been in place since 2009 and includes an on-call GP for the hospital and emergency department, medical services for inpatients and GPs for the on-site doctor's clinic.
Tomaree is a community hospital with government staff, government allied health staff. It will stay exactly that way.
And the Health Minister claims it was the former Labor government which put the contract renewal process in place.
They recognise that the local GPs didn't want to do the after hours and didn't want to do the main services in the local community hospital.
Georgia Ma, NBN News.
Normally picture perfect, today Mother Nature was determined to rain on Seal Rox's big day.
We're not going to say no to some rain after the dry that we've had. And sometimes they say when you're buying a new house, go and look at it in the rain. So we've been able to see our drainage systems working.
The $6 million redevelopment offers new eco-friendly cabins, glamping options for those who want a little luxury, and new facilities including a children's playground.
I think there's something here for everyone. There's people here with the high-end stay. There's the places for the families to stay, and there's the camping sites as well.
We already know that it's booked out in the very busy peak times of the year, but now the additional cabins can take more numbers, more families, and it's going to drive the local economy.
It's increased the park's capacity from 250 to 300 people a night, and that's projected to boost the local economy by $2 million a year.
Tourism is jobs. Our area needs more jobs, and that's what this delivers. It's great news for the tourist industry. It's great news for our local economy.
It's part of the state government's 10-year plan to revamp holiday parks and popular reserves.
We have 26 parks along the coast of New South Wales, beautiful parks in wonderful locations like this. So we are now looking at Jimmy's Beach. We're looking at some in Foster and Tuncurry.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
How to deal with corruption, how to minimise it. The other big area is succession planning. How do you get the right people moving into leadership positions?
Congratulations on making the Commonwealth Games team. Were you surprised?
Thank you. Yeah, I was so excited when I found out that I was going to be on the team. Very overwhelming, yeah, being announced with 5 other amazing athletes.
You've got a different story to most of those athletes. Tell us how you ended up here.
Accident, I was a professional triathlete, racing Ironman distance triathlons, and it was just a Tuesday morning ride, training ride, and halfway through the session, both my tyres burst and I went 45 k's an hour into the guardrail, fracturing my scapula, pelvis, broken ribs, punctured lung, and broken back, and damaged spinal cord.
So you went from elite triathlete to being in a horrific accident, going through extensive rehab, and now you're on the Commonwealth Games team.
Yeah.
How does that happen?
Yeah, I wouldn't be here without the amazing support that I've had from the triathlon community and family and friends.
Do you realise how much of an inspiration you are?
People used to say, after my accident, said that I was inspiring, and at one stage I didn't really understand why I was inspiring, because I'm just being myself. I'm helping other people, through their circumstances, getting over their own circumstances. So, I'm very happy that I can do that, and it makes me feel good.
And what do you want to get out of the games? What's a goal?
I want to get the gold medal. Yeah, I want to win, so I'll do everything I can to get that.
He's been racing at the elite level around the world for almost a decade, but over the weekend, Ivory finally clinched an elusive crown.
I knew it was going to be tough competition. Dan McConnell, he's won it for the last 6 years in a row. He always comes out flying for this one. It's a national championship title. Everybody wants it.
Just for good measure, the 25-year-old also took out the XC Eliminator class as well. All this less than a week after being overlooked for a place on the Australian team for the Commonwealth Games, with selectors picking just 2 athletes.
It's disappointing for the sport of mountain biking in Australia to only have 2 mountain bikers, 1 male, 1 female, at the Commonwealth Games, especially seeing that they're within Australia.
Ivory admits he'll always love competing on dirt, but the prospect of committing to chasing a place at the 2020 Olympics is up in the air.
Missing out on the 2016 Olympics is still, for me, quite fresh on my mind. And now, the 2018 Commonwealth Games, it's still a disappointment. So I'd like to keep Tokyo on my mind, and if it comes to it, then definitely chase it.
This latest snub has him thinking about a switch to road racing. Now in Adelaide for most of the year, he's based close to many of Australia's top riders. His ultimate goal would be the Tour de France.
That's definitely a long way off, but to start building towards something like that, national championships in January next year, if I have a good day there, then I could potentially get a start in the Tour Down Under.
Dry and desolate. It's hard to believe rain fell here just 24 hours ago.
It's fantastic. Will it help? We'll see.
30 millimetres. That's all Muswellbrook recorded. Not enough to quench this drought-stricken land's thirst.
It might put a green tinge on things, but barely. It actually won't unless we get, we need rain again fairly quickly. And we'll need a lot more to put any water in the dams. A lot of people's dams are dry now. We need more fairly quickly. And more of it too. I mean, 30 millimetres is kind of minimal, really.
Tony Lonergan considers himself one of the lucky ones. He's a cattle farmer who supplements his livelihood by working as a high school science teacher. He wants long-term policy on climate change.
For me, the long-term worry is climate change. What's going to happen? Because it's going to get hotter and drier, and more floods and more droughts. That's a given.
Concerns echoed by Muswellbrook Mayor Martin Rush.
The reality is we know these droughts and the intensity of the droughts is going to get longer and it's going to become more frequent, and therefore it's a timely opportunity to really review how we deal with drought relief in New South Wales.
The Upper Hunter has experienced devastating droughts before, but locals say this is one of the most severe dry spells in living memory.
What we've seen is a more intense drought than the millennial drought that we saw between 2000 and 2010. So it's really going to require sustained follow-up rain over a 3 to 6 month period to really break this drought.
Also today, Catholic Care officially opened its community offices in Muswellbrook.
It's a community hub that brings together Catholic Care and a range of other community service agencies to provide relief and support to the local community. We've taken a real initiative to focus on providing some relief to farmers because of the drought.
We all think we're tough, but the reality is from time to time we all are vulnerable in some way, shape or form, and it's okay to put up your hand.
Meredith Gibbs, NBN News.
It may smell of sawdust and fresh paint right now, but in less than a month, there'll be the scent of luxury perfumes.
We've been working on this for 2 years now. We're 3 weeks out from opening and we're super excited.
Retail giant David Jones, one of the latest additions in the mega expansion of Stockland Green Hills. It's DJ's 5th regional concept store in the state, a one-storey consolidated model, but at 6,000 square metres, it's no corner shop.
We see the Hunter as a really strong area for us. It's a growing catchment. We've done a lot of background work with our customers. We've worked with local communities as well as the centre in terms of ensuring to get the best brands and services within the store.
It's an absolute hive of activity here. More than 100 workers are busy applying the finishing touches. When the doors swing open, 100 retail staff will be serving shoppers. Think international beauty brands like MAC and Estee Lauder, along with Sportscraft and Saba. There'll also be personal shoppers and room for beauty therapy. And if you need a break from all the browsing, then this cafe featuring creations by celebrity chef Neil Perry might be on the menu. The store opens on March 22. Georgia Ma, NBN News.
It's the Hunter Company well and truly on the road to success, thanks to the multi-billion-dollar West Connects project, according to the state government.
It's also a job generator for people in the Hunter and across other parts of regional New South Wales.
Minister for West Connects, Stuart Ayres, touring DSI Underground at Gateshead. One of the many local businesses he claims are reaping the benefits of the massive infrastructure project across Sydney.
This business has got over $10 million in contracting through West Connect. So this project, it's a massive project, but it's also a massive win for these businesses.
DSI Underground produced the support equipment for M4 and M5 tunnels.
So the products we're supplying are typically called CT bolts, and they're a roof control product
designed to provide a 100-year design life for the tunnel.
The state opposition, however, labelled the minister's visit as galling, claiming the Hunter's strong rail manufacturing industry was decimated by the Berejiklian government when it awarded the $2.3 billion intercity train fleet contract to South Korea.
There's over 80 businesses that have already been part of the supply chain for WestConnex.
Tyson Cottrell, NBN News. Jake Rhodes was just 21 months old when he drowned in a backyard pool while on a family holiday in Ballina. His death, tragic yet avoidable, with the Deputy State Coroner today finding if the pool had not been used on the 16th of January 2015, Jake would not have drowned. A 3-day inquest into Jake's death last week heard the pool had been filled with water, despite only a temporary fence being in place, against council regulations. Magistrate Lee noting the absence of supervision, together with the absence of a life vest and the opening of the temporary fence, were all contributing factors to Jake's death. Deputy State Coroner Derek Lee made 3 recommendations: that all correspondence relating to pool compliance be made directly with the owners, that pool manuals have written instructions that a pool is not to be used until a final occupation certificate is issued, and that warning signs reminding residents of this are installed. In closing, Magistrate Lee said the risk of a child drowning is an ever-present one, which the community must be constantly mindful of. Tyson Cottrell, NBN News.
It was an incredible week. I got a lot done personally, and then also to see my younger brother Mikey not only win but put smart heats together, and pretty cool to see for a sister.
Initial assessments had Rodriguez out for up to 6 weeks, but the Argentine attacker is already running freely and racing to be fit for the trip to New Zealand to face the Phoenix on March 17. In a happy coincidence, fellow import star Ronald Vargas is also expected to return in that game. He's likely to begin training with the main group before the end of this week. Riley McGree has proved to be a worthy replacement in their absence, earning plenty of praise from Ernie Merrick following the win over Brisbane.
I was pretty pleased to get the start and play 90 minutes. I wasn't really expecting 90, but I'm happy just to get the run in my legs and play some football.
Even with the slated return of the import players, McGree is determined to maintain his spot.
I want to be starting games. I want to be playing regularly, week in, week out, and improving myself as a footballer and the team.
The 1-0 victory over the Raw saw the Jets qualify for the finals for the first time in 8 years. McGree says the players are excited, but there's still plenty of work to do. They'll start with a potential grand final preview on Saturday at McDonald Jones Stadium, hosting runaway competition leaders Sydney FC.
I don't think it's very daunting at all. We're pretty keen to go in and get a result and play our style of football, attacking and create chances. So we'll put in a good week on the training ground and see what happens on the weekend.
Nigel Bogard didn't train today and will be given a few more sessions to prove his fitness. If he's ruled out, Lachlan Jackson is likely to partner Nikolai Topor-Stanley in the centre of defence.
So there's a light section, top of New Zealand down to Bay of Islands, and then a fast finish.
These final miles are quite critical, and we've got a lot of transitions to go through.
Do everything we can to try and catch those guys.
but it's disappointing to kind of be sailing the boat well, and the performances seem like it's been going better this leg, and still just slipping away from us. So it's tough.
I've got second in the section. Hopefully I've got enough points under my belt to start do the semis tomorrow.